Hi guys, so it's going to be a slightly different tone of video today. It's not going to be directly around the education system as it's unfolding or around work process. It's a little bit more philosophical this time, and I want to talk about limiting beliefs. This time we're going to be looking at two separate superhero movies because I'm a massive fan of superhero movies and I think they have great life lessons. We're going to be looking at two today, Thor Ragnarok and WonderWoman. And specifically we're going to be looking at how they overcame their limiting beliefs so that you can do the same. And before we get into it, a limiting belief as an overview is something that you tell yourself that's holding you back. So as an example off the top of my head, a limiting belief might be, I'm rubbish at geography, or I'm not very confident, or even more specifically right now, a massive limiting belief for a lot of you right now is probably, I can't teach myself GCSE and A-level material without a teacher. And the problem with limiting beliefs is that they hold you back, they're often untrue, and they can stop you from pushing yourselves and make you feel fear. So as I said in this video, I'm going to give an overview of how Thor and WonderWoman overcome their limiting beliefs and then break down a few examples of how you can overcome yours. How does that sound? Good? All right, let's go. And if you want at least weekly content on how to live your best life at GCSE and A-level, then please do hit that subscribe button. And just as a heads up, there are spoilers for both films coming up. Alright, so Thor Ragnarok and WonderWoman, two superhero movies but probably seem kind of worlds apart. One's a man, one's a woman. One's DC, one's Marvel. But what if I told you essentially they have exactly the same storyline and in terms of the character progression that both of them go through? Here it is. Both are presented with a challenge, i.e. the bad guy. In Thor's case, it's his sister. In Wonder Woman's case, it's Ares. Next, they're told they need a weapon in order to kill them. In Thor's case, it's his hammer. In Wonder Woman's case, it's a sword that she's given, called the God Killer. But when it comes down to it, both of those weapons are destroyed by the bad guy. In Thor's case, it's really early on in the film. In Wonder Woman's case, it's really late on in the film. But they both lose the thing that they thought made them powerful. And finally, through a massive struggle, they overcome it and realize that they had the power to defeat their challenge or the bad guy all along. And when it happens, it's awesome because then Thor takes all this electricity from the sky and he's got like thunder in his eyes and he becomes even more powerful and do things that we've never seen him do before. And the same with Wonder Woman. I can't actually remember what she starts doing. I think she's super strong, or does she fly? I think she flies, and I think she's got laser beams out of her hands or something. But anyway, it's really, really cool and we love it. It's so satisfying to see them overcome their limiting beliefs. Now I'm using these two films as examples of this storyline, but if you think about it, this happens all the time. This kind of structure of story happens so often. And the reason is because it's incredibly satisfying for us to watch the good guy overcoming their own limiting beliefs. And if you can think of any more of those movies that have this storyline, please do comment them below. I'd be really interested to know because I love movies. So what is their limiting belief in both of these situations? Well, if I were to write it down, essentially their limiting belief is that they are not powerful enough by themselves to overcome the challenge that is in front of them. They rely on this idea of a weapon that is not themselves, that is something external to themselves, that they need in order to succeed in what they're trying to do. And it's only when they overcome this limiting belief that eventually they realize their true power, how powerful they really are. Now these guys are superheroes, right? Absolutely nothing to do with real life. Wrong. Human beings without superpowers constantly are held back by limiting beliefs in their heads, including myself, including you, including pretty much every human being that has ever existed. And it's really important that we work out what these limiting beliefs are so that we can overcome them. And a limiting belief can be literally anything, but here's a list on the screen coming up now of a few that you might have, and quite a few of them on this list I have had myself. For example, I can't teach myself without the input of teachers. I'm not popular or I'm not confident. I'm not good at sport. I'm not good at a specific subject. I'm not very smart. I always fail at everything I do. I'm never going to achieve my dream. Now, it's a pretty depressing list I put up there, but let me tell you, I have had most of these limiting beliefs in my life because you're not always telling yourself them in clear ways. You can tell themselves in subtle ways. Because some of these statements might even be things that you say openly to teachers or parents. You might say, I'm not smart. You might say, I'm not very popular to people. Or you might not say them overtly, but you might be telling yourself that in your head. Even if other people see you as maybe popular or smart or good at sport, sometimes you can be held back by your own belief. So by the end of this video, what I want you to do is try and identify what your limiting beliefs are and get a plan to overcome them. But just to help you along the way, I'm going to give you 5 key things to allow you to identify when a belief is limiting and stopping you from reaching your full potential or an immediate goal that you might have. Point number 1, they're hugely damaging and fear-inducing. So if when you think about doing something and you feel an easy sense of fear, you might have a limiting belief behind it, stopping you from wanting to even start trying to achieve it. Number 2, they're often untrue or massively bigged up in your own head. I'm going to give you an example of this. Throughout my time at school, I was convinced I was rubbish at sport, and I would basically freely, openly say this. I would say I was mal-coordinated and, I always dropped the ball and kind of make a joke out of it. But the truth was, I was always in lower teams, and I'd kind of say that before anyone else could make a comment about it. Cut to me going to university, and now as an adult, it turns out I'm actually pretty good at sport. I just wasn't doing necessarily the sports that I was good at school. I was okay at rugby, but now I do jiu-jitsu, now I do running, now I'm a relatively athletic person. Number 3, they're often given to you, these self-beliefs. So, it can be from parents, it can be from teachers, it can be from your peer group, and it can be, they're not meaning to give you this self-beliefs, but even a loose comment from a classmate that isn't fully considered can leave you with a lasting self-belief. Number 4, they are self-reinforcing. So once you have a belief implanted in your head, you will essentially go around and, without realizing it, look for things that confirm your belief. If I had a belief, for instance, that I'm not very confident, I would go into every social interaction I have thinking that. And then times that I was more shy or less confident in social occasions, or maybe I felt embarrassed, I would pick up on those times a lot more than if I just didn't care so much. If I wasn't looking for things to inherently boost my belief that I'm not very confident. And number 5, they feel great when you overcome them. And just as an example from my life, one of my limiting beliefs was that I was just not very good at learning languages. This just wasn't true. I did fine at school at French. I wasn't amazingly talented. I was absolutely fine, but in my head, I thought I was much worse. Now, I'm learning Spanish. You'll see in this video here that I, set myself the challenge of becoming fluent in Spanish in 3 months, and I'm doing stuff that I would never have been able to do or thought was even possible when I was at school. So the very fact that I'm now challenging that self-belief now feels amazing and freeing, and to be honest, makes me feel like a heck of a lot of the things that I don't think are possible for me are now possible. I feel like I've opened that door and proved myself that I can do better than I thought I could. And I know I said I only had 5 points, but I actually got a 6th one, and this 6th one I think is probably the most important, so I don't know why I saved it to the end. And that is, in order for both Thor and WonderWoman to overcome their limiting beliefs, there had to be a major challenge. It was only right at the last minute for both of them that they were able to realize their full power. For Thor, he'd lost his eye through Hela. She said her classic line, "What are you the god of again?" And it looked like he was defeated, but it was only at this point that he was able to overcome the challenge and realize his full potential. In exactly the same way, this happens with WonderWoman. When it looks like she's going to lose the fight to Ares, but then she finds the power within and defeats him. Well, what am I saying here? Well, what I'm saying here is that challenge is absolutely necessary in order to overcome your limiting beliefs. If you're not challenged, if you're not outside your comfort zone, you're not going to be able to push yourself past what you think you are able to do. It's inherently going to be difficult. It's inherently going to be really difficult, but that is part and parcel of the process. I'll take another exact example. If one of your limiting beliefs is I'm not very smart, and you have maybe low grades to back up that self-belief, it's not going to be easy to get those higher grades. It's not like you can snap your finger and then suddenly be like, oh, I've got rid of this limiting belief and now I'm really smart. It takes work, it takes effort, it's going to take time to go from a 3 to a 7 or whatever it is that you're aiming for, or a D to an A, or whatever it is that you want to do. It's going to be a tough process, but that toughness, that challenge is an integral part of overcoming that doubt, overcoming that limiting belief, and then realizing your true potential. Okay, so right now, right this second, I want you to pick up a pen and think about what your limiting beliefs are. Again, I'm going to put them up on the screen now to help you, because they can be really ingrained, but just think about the 5 things I've said there about limiting beliefs. Think about the story that you're telling yourself in your head. Think about the things that you're fearful of doing, and write down 2 to 3 sentences around what your limiting belief might be. Because identifying them is the first step in order to getting over them. And if you feel comfortable, and only if you feel comfortable, please do comment what they are below. And I can do loads of future content on limiting beliefs in terms of how to help you overcome them, but I just want to keep it really simple for this video today. Is firstly identifying what those limiting beliefs are. Alright, so I hope this was useful, guys. It's been a bit of a detour from the normal type of content that I've been doing. If this kind of content was useful for you, please do comment below and like, and let me know that it's the type of content that you would like to see, because honestly, I have a list of movie life lessons to help you about this big, and I love making this kind of content. This is the kind of content this channel started with. I did a 6-episode pilot looking at how to be a great leader like Captain America, what you can learn about happiness from Gollum from Lord of the Rings, failure with Finding Nemo, whatever. I love making content like this around the life lessons from movies and how it can help you. So if you do too, please do let me know, comment, whatever, and I can make plenty more for you. And if useful as well, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see you later.